Hello, everyone, and welcome to Proline, direct from Las Vegas, the gaming capital of the world. I'm John Cranton, joined by Las Vegas handicappers, Sean Hess and Zach Simony. Going to take a look at the Super Bowl props. Got some free props for you, plus a couple of college basketball games going on. Before we get to that, Sean, what was the joke you heard about the plane arriving in Arizona?
I'm not so sure it was a joke. Before the plane took off from, Boston, wherever Logan Airport up there, they checked the tire pressures to be sure for everybody that everything was up to snuff. And when they landed in Phoenix, same thing. They went out there with the tire gauge and made sure that everything was up to snuff. This thing's really getting out of hand, but
it certainly is.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to call it? Pressure gate or flat gate or no pressure gate or air gate or whatever. The media is not reporting news anymore. They're making it. And now, typical of the political thing in our country, right? Looks like we're going to hang a guy that maybe works in the locker room or something. We're going to roll it down on him or some stuff like that. What's a guy doing in the men's room with 40 footballs and a blow-up doll?
That we don't know.
Wait a minute. Here, I got it right here. Here's the ball we're going to use.
Is that, check the pressure on that.
Here it is. That's what it looks like, fellas. You know, it's not a blow-up doll or anything like that. So, yeah. And is there a doubt about what the focus will be for the entire Super Bowl? Will be the football. The football will be the star of the Super Bowl. How bad is that?
That's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's not going to be
We're going to get into the Super Bowl side and total, but first let's tell you what we have going on. Zach, you're probably sorry to see this NFL season come to a close here. 44-23-1 NFL run. Your college basketball run 78-43-4, and you have 4 and 5 packs available on the Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, I should have solid college basketball package, 4 or 5 games, as you said. I've actually scaled back the plays in college basketball, and I'm seeing these nail biters come down. Yesterday was 2 again that I was glad just to watch with North Carolina and Syracuse. Foul situation at the end of the game ended up being a half-point difference on either side if you had North Carolina and Syracuse, and then everyone that had Texas and Iowa State, oh my goodness. If you had Iowa State, that was one of the most gut-wrenching ATS losses I've seen in a while.
Well, for me, how about St. John's? I mean, that hurt.
St. John's.
I thought they were going to win the game for most of it.
You should have.
Those happen. When it happens, starts happening at the 8-minute mark, it's not as bad. But when it collapsed like that for Iowa State, they had that lead the whole game until that put back, and they lost the cover. So that's the way it goes with college basketball. But you see it every time. You just got to wait for this scenario in college basketball. In February, it'll probably start opening back up again. But guys are getting tired. Coaches are using their bench a little bit more, and the leads are evaporating quickly. So, but I'll still have quality picks in college basketball.
All right, and Jim Feist on a 13-2 run in college basketball, 9-1 run with NBA Games of the Year, and available online for the Super Bowl. Up and now, got a pair of 3-pack of props that are available, as well as a high-end inner circle prop, plus Jim's call on the game. A year ago, he had Seattle. That was a 43-8 blowout. I remember I was on the phone with a client, and I mentioned that the client, the business client, had liked Denver. And I told Jim, and Jim was in the other room, said, "Tell him he's on the wrong side." So, Jim certainly.
And oh boy, what was it, 43-8 or something like that?
As a dog, you have to. So if you're looking for plays from Jim, Zach, and others, you can go to jimfeist.com. Okay, let's get into some of the Super Bowl lines here. We have Seahawks open 3, but it was bet quickly down to about a pick 'em based on the way the AFC title game was turning out in the second half. And now we have Patriots roughly 1. The total's down from 49 to 48. You can make the argument it's a pair of teams that probably shouldn't be here. The Ravens kind of outplayed the Patriots.
That is an understatement.
Yeah. Ravens could very well be here if they had finished off the Pats, because they certainly outplayed them for much of that game. And then, of course, that Seattle miracle, that's got to go down in history with the Music City Miracle with Tennessee. And
the Heidi game.
Well, that wasn't a playoff game, but the Frenchie Fuqua game, do you remember that one?
Oh, boy, the Immaculate Reception, don't remind me of that. I had Oakland plus 1.5, and I still think I got jobbed. I think those referees owe me some money.
You did, because people probably forget that Oakland took the lead in that game, the 72 game against Pittsburgh, 7-6 with 1:13 to go. Ken Stabler had a 30-yard touchdown run. Do you remember that happening?
Actually, it was 23 yards. When you get stabbed in the chest, you remember stuff like that. And Kenny Stabler running, yeah, right. Good luck.
Exactly, yeah, running instead of.
But you're right. The score was 7-6, and it looked like that was going to be the final score until that miracle with Fuqua. They keep saying one day they'll actually fess up to what actually happened out there, but so far they haven't done it. So Bradshaw's still alive at least. So. Yeah. Those are bad memories, John. Don't bring them back up.
Okay, we'll move on right to this Super Bowl game.
Zach doesn't even know what we're talking about, right? He's over there nice and young.
I've seen the highlight. But
oh, the highlights.
Not all the plays.
That doesn't do justice, believe me.
Well, this Patriot team has not been covering games in the playoffs, even though they did the last game. But they're 4-11 against the spread in playoff games, 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 Super Bowl games. So, Sean, how do you see this matchup working out?
Well, first of all, this Super Bowl has almost gotten to the point where it's like an exhibition game anymore. Today is media day, right, which is a joke. Every day is media day, and it's always the same question. Now it looks like they're going to hang some guy who works in the locker room who makes probably $10 an hour. They're going to try and hang it on him. Did we mention the tire thing with the airplanes coming in? I guess we did all that, right? And this will be a thing where the star of the show, the star of the Super Bowl, will be the football. They'll be focusing on that football for 3 hours. First of all, game, of course, is in Arizona. I looked up the weather just to be sure, not that any reason to, but both #1 seeds. Haven't had that in a while. And
we had that last
year.
But you're right, it doesn't happen very often.
Before that, it doesn't usually happen, right? And it's very good offense versus very good defense. Some serious injuries for Seattle. I mean, I'm not convinced that either one of these guys, Richard Sherman or Thomas, is even going to play. They probably will show up, but even if they do, how effective can they be? And we're talking really key components of maybe the best team on the field, which would be the Seattle defense, if those guys are healthy. And if you looked at the Green Bay game, Sherman didn't look good at all coming off the field, and either did Thomas. So the line is generally pick 'em, New England 1. I think it's pretty much going to stay that. Maybe somebody will close 1. The total, I'm looking at 48. I've seen some 47.5s out there. I don't know that it will go down. I hear rumors that will. But the big problem is, is Sherman and Thomas. Even if they start, even if they play, how long will they last, and how effective are they going to be? The problem isn't are they going to play. They'll probably at least go out there. The problem is how effective will they be? And Brady, maybe the best quarterback ever at picking open receivers, and he does that. I think I'm going to lean with the Seattle side. I know with the show and all that, but it's probably not a game I'm going to bet. We're going to talk about some Super Bowl props, which I think is where the holes might be. And we got like 650,000 of them here, and they're probably not done putting them out. These are the ones from Westgate. We mentioned this before on the last show that we did about the Super Bowl, where Jay does a wonderful job over there, and his numbers are probably staying the same right now. I'm going to say Zach? These people will probably start showing up Thursday night when the town starts to fill up. Certainly by Friday, they'll all be drinking, and they'll see all the hats and the show, and it's a big circus. And actually, it's a lot of fun to be around. These Super Bowl parties are really neat here in Vegas. And they'll all be betting everything they can. It's like a spider just waiting in the web. These people will just throw the money at these bookmakers. It's a smorgasbord out there. Now, I don't know. You want to do props now, or do you want to just put out what I think in the game?
We'll do that. We'll do that in a second.
Okay.
Touch on Seattle for a second here. A tremendous run, 34-16-1 against the spread. Great team, great defense, and they've been undervalued for a while. They're also on an 8-3 run under the total. Zach, one thing about Seattle I wonder about is we don't see them behind very often because of this defense. They're 27th in passing the football.
Well, they can't come back. They have to stay in.
They did the last game, but do you want to do that every week? Yeah. I mean, do they have the type of quick strike offense that if they get behind?
No, I think both coaches will be smart enough in this game. We're not going to see one blow each other out. It's not going to be like last year with Denver. Obviously, Peyton Manning. They masked their defense to Taylor against those quick screens. They got out early, and those quick screens aren't going to work if you're down. New England has, I heard this on the radio, and it's exactly correct. New England and Bill Belichick, every coach fears him because he can disguise just about anything. He can throw the 50-yard passes with his arsenal. They can do the 50-yard runs. They can do the screens. They can do anything they want. In Seattle, they're going to have to really hold their defense to the highest standard possible to keep up with this New England team, I believe. But we'll see which coach's game plan works the best.
One of the things we need to maybe mention is I think New England can make like 2 turnovers in the game and still win it. I don't know that Seattle can turn the ball over because they don't have enough offense to compensate for those mistakes. So for Seattle to play error-free football, especially on the offensive side, I think it's paramount for them to win the game.
You don't think they can turn the ball over 5 times again and win like this?
Yeah, one thing about Brady, when he's on the field, he's capable of coming back from just about anything, especially with the talent he has around him. So if any team is capable of surviving the turnover thing, let's say, New England could turn the ball over 3 more times than Seattle, and in my opinion, still win the game. They can do that. I don't think Seattle can do that. defensive teams shut other teams down. They can't keep, but you can't keep putting your defense on the field for like 40 minutes and you have the ball on the 20.
No,
so
you'll be dead in a game like this.
Yeah.
Well, if you like to play totals, keep in mind that the Patriots have been a team going over the total for quite some time. In a game, after they score 30 points or more, like the situation they're in for the Super Bowl, they're 34-16-1 over the total, but I would say proceed with caution on a trend like that because those Patriot teams the last 4 years were not very good defensively, particularly in the secondary. They've been awful for a lot of that time. Great offense, but bad defense. This Patriot team, much different. They brought in a lot of talent, particularly in the secondary, to upgrade it. Some of the young linebackers that they've developed have really come on strong this year. This is a much better defensive team than we've seen the Patriots have for much of the last 4 years. Some of the trends with total, Seattle, when they face a team with a winning record, 11-5 under the total. I think both defenses are ahead of the offenses. Patriots' last 5 Super Bowls are 4-1 under the total. And one thing the Patriots can do on offense is they like that short, quick passing game. They're so good at it with Brady, as Sean mentioned, how quick thinking he is. On the other hand, the Seattle defense, that's one of their strengths. They're exceptional at defending quick strike passing games. Their linebackers are exceptional in pass coverage, and their safeties are very good in reading and reacting. So again, I think both defenses are ahead of the offenses. I'll look at a 23-20 final score, maybe the first overtime game, but I'm not looking for a high score.
23-20. Wow.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's give out some free prop.
You got
bets.
a winner? Wait a minute. Is there a winner there?
How about the under? There's the under.
Oh, just the under.
Sure.
Wow. You're not going to tell us who has the 23.
Oh, no, I can't pick the side. I think it's too relatively even. It's
okay.
a tough one to call.
I'll do it for you.
Yeah, we'll get into some props. A quick history of props is that, back in the 80s and early 90s, there were a whole string of blowouts in Vegas for these Super Bowls. And what happened is the book directors and the sports executives, casino executives, they'd spend 2 weeks marketing to get people come into the books. And then by halftime, the games were blowouts, so many of them that people would be leaving. So they got together with the book directors and said, is there anything we can do to make the game interesting in the third and fourth quarter and make people hang around if the game is a blowout? And so these props kind of started to mushroom. Then, Sean, you mentioned Jay Kornegay. He did that at Imperial Palace, had a book of ones for years and is still kind of the king of that.
Yeah, he's just incredible. I've known him for years, and he's just nobody better at it than he is. He gets it all together. So.
And it's an event when they come out. You were out there at the Westgate when they came out, right? There was a lot of people lined up.
Yeah, there was. I didn't go because you couldn't get. They put them out on the board. You couldn't get the printout or anything until the following. Actually, he said Saturday. I think he let a few of them out on Friday. But so I didn't go down there. I had a guy call me and read me some of them, and I went down the following day, because I need to get a copy of the thing. But it was packed. Every celebrity in our business, right, was down there. So it was. But I did not drive down there. No, I waited till Friday because I needed to get a copy of it. So.
All right, give 2 prop bets that you like. Have some
Well,
value.
I got a few actually, first of all, I'm just going to say it up front. Prop bets are for suckers too. It's just so you know. I mean, it's kind of the disclaimer. But occasionally they throw something out there I do see some value in. Let me start with the first one. I'll give you the number at least off the sheet at Westgate. I don't know what it will be at other casinos, but number 5283. How many players will actually throw a pass attempt? Now, you looked at both quarterbacks. There's 2. It's over 2.5, but it's plus 280. A trick play, maybe a quarterback maybe getting hurt. First of all, if you're Seattle, you know what you got to do. This is like when you play Denver. You got to stop one guy. You have to get to him, which means they better start getting some pressure on him. So there's a chance that maybe Brady won't play every game. Now, he's relatively injury-free throughout most of his career, but the guy is 37, and there's no secrets with Seattle. So there's a good chance either a trick play or a backup quarterback or somebody may throw another pass at plus 280. I think that's worth a look. Here's a guy that no one's talking about. Number 5373 and number 5457. I'm sorry, 5371, 5373. Did I get it right? 5371, 5373. This is a player who never talks. He doesn't say anything. He's one of the really great wide receivers, I think, in the game, Brandon LaFell. Everybody's going to talk about, I can't even pronounce his name. Gronkowski or whatever his name is, right? Who, whenever he's hurt, it's always his own fault because he's doing stupid stuff off the field when he's out partying or something like that. Brandon LaFell, young guy, relatively young, about 28 years old. I think Brady finds him first. And the proposition is, will he score a touchdown? In the game is plus 190 in the first half. How about plus $4? That's 4-1. I think this is maybe the best ones on the board. This guy plays well. He had an excellent season. He'll be there, and Brady has to know he's going to find him before he finds, say again his name, Gronk.
Just call him the Gronk.
Okay, the Gronk. So I think number 5371, yes, and 5373, yes. Will he score a touchdown in the game? Is plus 190. Will he score a touchdown in the first half? Is plus $4. That's 4-1, and I think that's worth a shot. And those are the two best I got. I got a couple more if you're interested, but those are the best ones that I see right there.
All right, one I see is over 4 combined sacks. Normally it's 4.5, sometimes 5, but I see Seattle with their linebacker speed, capable of blitzing, on what I see as an average Patriot offensive line. And I talked last week about I think the Patriots are going to stack the line to try and contain the run. And, if Wilson goes back to pass and you get 7 or 8 guys up there, you got a better chance to grab him. So over 4 combined sacks. Zach, what do you see out there?
I'll give out a few. I didn't want to give out a pick yet on the Super Bowl, but get that football there.
I just want to get your attention. I think Zach is holding out on us again. Just like
he always is.
He's always, you never know when you can trust him.
In the AFC Championship game, I talked about Gronkowski with some of my clients on taking the under on that. He was pretty much shut out in it. And this week, you're hearing Pete Carroll, rant and raving. They're going to figure out a way to shut down Rob Gronkowski. But as I said on the show last week, Seattle has had issues covering tight ends. I don't think they're going to be able to shut down Rob Gronkowski. You see the prop is 79.5 yards. And Bill Belichick and that offense has always been able to, when they had Troy Brown, they were able to get him the ball. Randy Moss, they got him the ball in big games. In big games, they get the ball to the big-time players, and I think they're going to find a way to get Rob Gronkowski involved early, and he will have a big game. So I think taking the over on that yardage, 79.5 yards, is a good prop. I also like this Russ Wilson prop. The last thing we saw of Russ Wilson was him scrambling around, but teams have figured out I've seen him all year trying to run football around. He can create. When he creates, he's definitely a threat, but when he's doing his designed runs, he gets shut down. And there's a prop out there for his first rush attempt over or under 5.5 yards, and I think that's a good one to take the under, minus 110. All he has to do is go for a scramble. So we're talking one of his creative. You saw against Green Bay when he tried to create, he didn't get any yards on him until that third, fourth quarter. So I think if he tries to sneak out of that backfield, when he does his little pump fake, and then tries to run, I think they'll have the disguised people there ready to shut that down on that first rushing attempt. So under on that. Tom Brady touchdown pass in the second quarter, that's minus 110. I don't know if they're going to get out early in that game, but one thing they do well is they adjust quickly. So I think in the second quarter they can open things up a little bit, and he might get 2 touchdown passes in that second quarter, but at least 1. And then last but not least, I just saw this one, and there's a ton of them involving NBA Sunday that day, but I like this one.
You like that stuff, right? What's the game? There's an NBA game, right? Like
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's
Really?
a lot of them, but
okay.
There's a prop out there with Tom Brady completions, and he's favored by minus 1.5 versus Chris Bosh points that day against the Boston Celtics, and I would think we can take Chris Bosh points. I think he can score between 24 and 29 points. He's been having a monster January, and his size combined with Whiteside's emergence and just the way that team's gelling on offense and defense, I think he can have a big game and get that prop win right there against an undersized Boston team.
I'm curious, you mentioned Gronk doing very well because this will be his 3rd Super Bowl that he's been with the team. One he didn't play in, and the second one against the Giants. The first one, he was injured. He wasn't 100%. This is the first time that they've had him 100%, and he was a non-factor in those other two. So very interesting. One other one I'll throw out there would be interceptions. I told you I kind of like a defensive game here. Interceptions combined by both teams over 1.5. It's minus 140. Great secondaries on both sides. Brady has thrown 1 pick in each of these first 2 playoff games. Also, Wilson was off that horrendous game with 4 picks. So I can see this game being at least 2 interceptions and maybe more.